Hey everyone, Brendan Snyder here. How are you? Thank you so much for joining me and welcome to a special early review for the brand new archival live release from Nuclear Assault called Radiation Sickness. This thing is coming out on October 13th, so this coming Friday you can check it out in full. But I got an early review for you guys here. As I said, archival release 1987. It's been released on Cherry Red Records, a label that I happen to really enjoy. They sent this to me here, so I'm very thankful for that, but I'm digging this album and I want to talk to you guys about it. We'll get into that in just a bit, but before we do, if you're new to my channel and you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do. Also leave a comment, hit like, all those things do help support my channel, but of course, if you turn on notifications, you're going to stay up to date on all that's going on in the world of music and stuff like this with early reviews for the brand new Nuclear Assault Radiation Sickness archival live album. It's some killer stuff here. But I want to set the mood for you guys. So history of the band and all, I don't know if you know this, New York City band that was formed in 1984, part of the East Coast thrash scene. Yes, I know I'm wearing a West Coast thrash shirt here from Megadeth, but I thought I'd mix it up for you guys. So the band features Dan Lilker on bass, and he was a founding member of Anthrax. Left shortly after the debut album, but I point that out because that was what drew me into the band. That was something that I saw as a thing. Oh, hey, here's a former guy of Anthrax. Let's check this out. But what I quickly found out with the band at the time was they could stand on their own 2 feet. This was not some offshoot thing. They could run with the big boys. Overkill, Exodus, Testament, Megadeth, all of that. Nuclear Assault was one of, in my opinion, one of the amazing bands of that era. And the band not only, of course, featuring Dan in it, but had vocalist and guitarist John Connolly in the group. And I think he was a phenomenal frontman, doing what he does, playing the guitar, singing. He had his own sense of style, and so he definitely could run, again, as I said, with the big boys. This was no offshoot project. At the time of the recording of this in 1987, the band had only put out 2 releases at that time. So Game Over 1986, which was their debut album, and an EP called The Plague, which was released in 1987. They even talk about it, live in the show that they had just dropped this new EP. So the live album itself, in my opinion, really sort of captures that era. It captures the band in this raw state, full of a lot of power. They were still in the throes of proving themselves. Remember, this was very early on in their career, but also still early on in the thrash scene as it's coming up, and full on equal parts of energy and chaos. You'll hear it within it, and I think that the capture of that is pretty amazing. But let's go ahead and talk about the actual album now, beyond just, like I said, setting up the picture for you guys here. So it is an archival live release. It's new that it's coming out. It's not been released on CD before, at least not to my knowledge anyway. Recorded live in London at the Odeon, June 20th, 1987. And why I say first time on CD here is because I know it was released on VHS in 1991. So I think, though, this is the first time that it's getting an album release. And why we're not getting the DVD over here, hey, Cherry Red Records, I could have used that too. I would love to have seen this and, of course, watched it. But I am an album person, so I do prefer this over the visuals because I think, as most people know, you can go on YouTube and see all of this great stuff out there, which, in my opinion, if you're going to drop one or the other, give me the album. I don't really need the DVD, but I would have taken it in this case. Finding out that the VHS had been released back in 1991, I think it would have made for a great little package. Even a little box set could have been done with it, but that's another story. So right off the bat, you know that the quality's got to be pretty good. I'm assuming they took the recording from the VHS itself, but it was professionally done. So the night's lineup too was killer, and we don't have that on here, but I just want to point out the context of what bands these guys were playing with at the time. Agent Steel, Onslaught, Adam Kraft, some very cool bands. And if you had Nuclear Assault on the bill, could you imagine that? I'm sure some of you guys out there saw this show or this tour and can speak to that, but I didn't get to. I certainly don't live across the pond. I live here in the US. Was down in Florida, so I wasn't even in New York at the time. But song selection for this, there is 11 tracks on here. They're taken mostly from their 2 releases at the time. Game Over, 8 tracks are on here, and you can imagine you have a new studio album out, you're going to pull greatly from that. So if you like that album, this is going to be killer for you. The Plague, the EP, there's 2 tracks on it from that, so you're getting a little stuff mixed in on it. There's another track on here called Lesbians, and it doesn't appear on any of their albums, at least again as far as I could tell. When any diehards out there might be able to tell me where it has cropped up over the time, but it's not on Game Over and it's not on The Plague. And I did check the couple other releases that they did up until the early 90s there when they first broke up before reuniting and everything. So I didn't see it, so that's kind of cool. So, you know, potentially you're getting an unreleased track, or at least at this time when the album was out, it was unreleased on any of their things. Just overall quality of it is very good. As I said, I have not actually seen the VHS, but checking this out here, good quality stuff. So let's take a look at this. First of all, I rarely actually dig the album cover here. I just think this is a great little capture of them jamming out there. I actually really like this sort of hazard sign going around it. We get a bit more of that there on the back side, and of course the songs just stacked like that. Cool photo of the guys there, and again, there's our CD. I'll pop that out so you can see what's underneath it, and a cool other additional archival shot. Actually, it's the same one, I'm realizing. So we got the same one under there, just silk screened in yellow versus this one here. But let's look at the booklet. The booklet was pretty cool. They did a great job, and that's one of the things that Cherry Red Records, too many R's in there, does so well with their stuff. Look at that. So you got a great lineup, a write-up that's in here. You get to see the lineup, the bill. I love old tour concert bills like that that show things. We do get some more pictures of the guys in here as it goes through. And I will confess, I have not read all of this yet. I am going to get to that. Maybe it will even tell us about the song Lesbians in here, but I have not dug into that. I've just been listening to the album. I usually save reading all of this until I've actually digested the music. Then I can actually go through and read it and have something. But look at that. So much good information within that. Very cool in my opinion. So what's the bottom line on this album here? First of all, classic band that's showing the newer generation of thrash bands how it's done. It's a great document for that sort of thing done back in the day. You know, and it's a bygone era. We're never going to have that sort of a music scene again with thrash. And so to get some of these cool archival releases, I think is really great. Lots of bands are doing it, but I'm not seeing it come from the thrash bands back in the day. Metallica has re-released some box set sort of stuff, but where's the stuff from all the other greats out there? Megadeth and Overkill and Testament and stuff like that. They need to start doing it too. Well, great thing is we got Nuclear Assault going back, digging into the archives and giving us some cool archival live material from that era. And if you weren't part of it, you get to experience it now as part of this. It's very cool. You know, this right here, you know, it's classic East Coast thrash metal scene at its peak. So I think that's pretty cool. One of the best bands that was doing it. If you're a fan of thrash, if you're a fan of live albums, because remember, this isn't studio, so thrash and live albums, this is going to be for you guys, and I do highly recommend checking it out. I'm a big fan of thrash myself. All different genres of metal, and of course, as you can see, like the Guns N' Roses and Rolling Stones box sets, I mean, I go all in on everything that I love. But thrash, something I grew up with, and I will always love that till the day I die. So there you go. Brand new Nuclear Assault Radiation Sickness album, live archival release from 1987. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. As I said, it comes out this coming Friday, October 13th of 2023. So you can check it out, stream it at that time, decide if you want to buy it or not. But I love having the tangible thing in my hand. As I showed you guys, I mean, what a killer booklet that's, of course I opened it to photos. killer booklet that's in here with stuff to read. You can't get that when streaming, so I do recommend you guys go out and buy the physical copy to get that. That's one of the great things that Cherry Red Records is all about. So there you go, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this review. Certainly let me know your thoughts. Let me know your favorite nuclear assault moment or experience or live show that you've been to, and or whether you think you might want to pick this up. But if you do pick it up and you're watching this review after, let me know your thoughts about how it sounds and everything. I'd be interested to hear all of that. Okay, everyone, take care. Have a good one, and I'll be talking to you real soon. Bye-bye, guys.